Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Goodnight Lighthouse. I'm Miss Dorothy, and I'm here to read you another story. And I've got a book tonight about a really, really friendly lady. And this book is called Thank You, Omu. Thank You, Omu. This is about a lady named Omu, and she lives in a house, in an apartment, and she makes something really special, and people keep coming by. And she is very, very nice to them. And we need to get into this book and find out what's going on with Omu. Are you ready to get inside this book with Miss Dorothy? Good. I need you to sit up and listen up, because here we go.
Thank You, Omu, written by Oge Mora. On the corner of First Street and Long Street, on the very top floor, Omu was cooking a thick red stew in a big fat pot for a nice evening meal. She seasoned it and stirred it and took a small taste. "Oh, what a delicious stew," Omu said. "Tonight's dinner will surely be the best I've ever had." Wow, she made a really yummy sounding stew for dinner. With that, Omu put down her spoon and went to read a book before supper. As the thick red stew simmered on the stove, its scrumptious scent wafted out the windows and out the door, down the hall, toward the street, and around the block until, knock, 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 someone was at the door. When Omu opened the door, she saw a little boy. "Little boy," Omu exclaimed, "what brings you to my home?" "Well, I was playing with my race car down the hall when I smelled the most delicious smell," the little boy replied. "What is it?" "Thick red stew," said Uma. Stew," he sighed. "That sure sounds yummy." He could smell it all the way down the hall. Umu thought for a moment. She was saving her stew for dinner, but she had made quite a bit. It would not hurt to share. "Would you like some?" The little boy nodded, and so Omu spooned out some thick red stew from the big fat pot for her nice evening meal. "Thank you, Omu," the little boy said, and went on his way. She shared her stew. With that, Omu closed the door and went back to her book. As she read, her thick red stew's scrumptious scent wafted out the window and out the door, down the hall towards the street, and around the block, until, knock, 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 someone was at the door. When Omu opened the door, this time she saw a police officer. "Oh, Miss Police Officer," Omu exclaimed, "what brings you to my home?" "Well, I was on duty down the street when I smelled the most delicious smell," Miss Police Officer replied. "What is it?" "Thick red stew." "Ah, stew," she said, and her mouth watered. "That sounds mighty tasty." Omu thought for a moment. There was still enough to share. "Would you like some?" The police officer nodded. Once again, Omu spooned out the thick red stew from the big fat pot for her nice evening meal. "Thank you, Omu," the officer said, and went on her way. She shared again. And so for the second time, Omu closed the door and went back to her book. Sure enough, as she read, her thick red stew's scrumptious scent wafted out the window and out the door, down the hall, toward the street, and around the block until, knock, knock, knock! Again someone was at Omu's door. This time when she opened it, she saw a hot dog vendor. "Oh, Mr. Hot Dog Vendor," Omu exclaimed, "what brings you to my home?" "Well, I was selling my hot dogs down the block when I smelled the most delicious smell," Mr. Hot Dog Vendor replied. "What is it?" "Thick red stew." "Oh, stew." The vendor licked his lips. "That sounds quite delectable. I think he's hungry too." So Uma spooned out some thick red stew from the big fat pot for her nice evening meal. "Thank you, Umu," the hot dog vendor said, and he went on his way. Wow, she's sharing with everybody. Throughout the day, people from all across the neighborhood knocked on Umu's door. She fed a shop owner, a cab driver, a doctor, an actor, a lawyer, a dancer, a baker, an artist, a singer, an athlete, a bus driver, a construction worker. Even the mayor stopped by. And each time they knocked Omu shared. She is so generous. Soon the sky darkened, the street lights brightened, and it was finally time for dinner. But when Omu opened the big fat pot of thick red stew for her nice evening meal, it was empty! She had shared so much she didn't have any for herself. Omu sniffled. Well, there goes the best dinner I ever had. Sorry and blue, she sat at the table with her empty pot until knock, 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 knock. Who could that be, Omu wondered. When she opened the door, she saw the little boy, the police officer, the hot dog vendor, the shop owner, the cab driver, the doctor, the actor, the lawyer, the dancer, and the baker. Why, everyone she fed today was at her door. Oh, I'm sorry, everyone, Omu sighed. My thick red stew is all gone. I have nothing left to share. The little boy tugged at Omu's sleeve. Don't worry, Omu. We're not here to ask. We're here to give. The police officer carried in a fresh salad. The mayor entered with a roast chicken. The baker brought a collection of sweet goodies. Even the little boy presented Omu with something special in a shiny red envelope. Everyone who knocked on Omu's door that day squeezed into her little apartment, and together they ate, danced, and celebrated. While Omu's big fat pot of thick red stew was empty, her heart was full of happiness and love. Everybody came back to share with her. And that dinner was the best she ever had, with a card that says, "Thank you, Omu."
Wow, that was such a great book. She was so nice to everybody. She made that really, really yummy stew, and she was going to have it for dinner. But as the people kept smelling it, they kept coming by her house and knocking on her door and saying, wow, I wish I had some of that stew. And then she would give it to them. She shared it with them. And then it was all gone. And then she was sad because she didn't have anything for dinner. But then all the people came back and they all brought special food for her because they wanted to say thank you for being so kind to them. What a great book. What a great way to be kind to people. I love her. She was really, really kind to everybody that came to her house. She shared her food, and then they shared with her. Everybody said thank you. Everybody was grateful, and everybody became friends. A great book and a great lesson. You know what? Sometimes you may have something that's really, really important to you, but somebody comes along and wants you to share. And that can be really hard to do, but it's a really good thing to do because if you share with them, they'll probably share with you. That's what people do. When you're kind, they'll be kind. So why don't you be kind first? That's the most special thing you could do. That's what Jesus would do. He would be kind to people who weren't even nice to him. You can be kind too. That would make everybody happy. And I know something else that would make everybody happy. Obey, and obey right away. And then come back and see Miss Dorothy, because I'm going to be sitting right here, ready to read another book to you. Bye!
Thanks for reading with Miss Dorothy. I hope you enjoyed this book, and I hope you'll come back soon to read another. What's your favorite book? Drop Miss Dorothy a note and let me know. I'll go find it, and I'll read it to you. Be sure to subscribe, like, and share. I'll see you soon.